Well, we have a brand new guest on the Shoe Hockey Podcast. The Christmas holiday has passed. Braeden Tuck, sophomore. Braeden, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
First off, I wanted to ask you, how was your Christmas? Did you go back to Calgary or did you stay in Connecticut?
No, I just stayed here. You're allowed to go home, but I didn't know if there was going to be any issue, so I just thought I'd stick around here and stay on the ice.
So what was it? What was it like? Let's take you all the way back before your time at Sacred Heart. Where did you play juniors, and how did Sacred Heart come and recruit you?
I started junior when I was 17, playing junior B for the Sawyers Coyotes in the KIJHL. From there, I moved on to the Trail Smoke Eaters in the BCHL, where I spent 3 years. My first contact with Sacred Heart was my 20-year-old year at the BCHL showcase. I talked to Coach McDougall, and we kind of kept in touch, and from there I committed.
So describe the start of this season as a whole, for you personally and as a team. How do you think you guys are doing, and how do you think you're setting yourselves up for the future?
It was a bit of a weird start, prolonged preseason, but right before our first two games, we had some guys miss time, but I think that it's every team's kind of in the same boat where they're going to have to kind of overcome that stuff. So I think moving into the second half, we have a lot of league games against the same like 4 or 5 teams. So I think once we kind of get rolling, I think we're going to be good.
Braeden, I want to talk to you about last season, because last season you were voted Atlantic Hockey League Rookie of the Year. You had 26 points in 28 games. And out of those 26 points, I would say 95% of those were assists. What is so special about your game that makes you this playmaking ability?
I don't know. Always growing up, my dad always told me, if there's somebody in a better spot to score than you, give them the puck kind of thing. And I've always kind of been a passer growing up. So I definitely have a pass first kind of mentality, but I think I'm going to work on trying to, be a bit more of a shooter too, and not be so kind of one dimensional.
Was that your favorite moment in your career at Sacred Heart so far, as being Rookie of the Year, or was it the Connecticut Ice tournament?
I think the Connecticut Ice tournament for sure. That was a pretty cool experience. We had a lot of fans in the building, a lot of students. It was a pretty big moment for the program, the school, and there was alumni there, and it was pretty cool to see them and just see kind of how the program's grown.
Braeden, I don't know if you could remember this, but one of the goals you scored last season was in the Connecticut Ice tournament.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Just an empty net goal, but it was pretty cool to kind of seal that one.
I want to take you back to last season as well. And when Jason Cotton was on the podcast right before Thanksgiving, I asked him about, the two of you playing together on a line for most of the season last year. He has now gone pro, and he said a lot of positive things about your game and how that developed him as a player. What could you say the same about Jason?
Oh, you can't say enough good things about him. Coming in, I was a little bit nervous and, didn't really know what to expect. And I was lucky enough to play with him and Matt Tugnut fairly early on. And they were, Jason was so helpful. He was always, he never got mad at me or anything. He was always helpful, and we were always communicating, and he's an easy guy to play with. He made my first year really easy. He was always, giving me tips and, leading by example how to approach the game every day.
So you definitely have a great relationship with your teammates, other players on the team. How are your relationship with the coaches, though?
Good. This is, my second year, so kind of have a bit more of a relationship. Bergie coming in right away. We talked in the summer, and right away I knew he's a good guy. We already, no problems. He's a really great guy, and he's a players coach in a sense that he, connects and cares about us, and that goes for all the coaches. They're all good people first, and good coaches as well.
Steve Bergen was the ECHL Coach of the Year just a year ago in South Carolina Stingrays. Coaching professionally and then coming to coach you, do you think and do you see how that helps the team?
Yeah, for sure. He knows, what it takes to get to the next level, and what's important for us to work on. And he sees the game, in a really, really good way, and can help grow our team and just help us as individuals and as a team as we move forward.
Is there any certain player, professional or otherwise that you try and model your game around? Maybe like someone you idolized growing up. Who do you really try and emulate your game?
Mhm. I don't know if there's one player in particular. Maybe like, I like obviously the passers, two-way guys, but I can't think of one player that I kind of try to model my game after.
Braeden, when Jack was asking you that question, I thought you were going to say Sean Monahan of the Calgary Flames. Because I know you're from Calgary, and I know you wear 23, the same number he wears. That's just where I was going with that.
Yeah, no, I didn't even make that connection.
But I want to take you back to the recruiting process that you spoke about a little bit before. Did you come see Sacred Heart before you actually made your commitment here? How did you tell Scott McDougal that you were definitely coming to come to Sacred Heart?
Yeah, well, like I said, it was my 20-year-old year, so my last year junior, and time was kind of a factor. So um, I didn't really have time to go on visits before I committed, so I didn't come down before I committed. So that made relationships, a lot more important, because that's sort of what I was basing it off of. So that was huge. Scott was, we had a good relationship right off the bat, and yeah, like I said, we were kind of in touch for a few weeks, and um, eventually I just kind of made my decision, gave Scott a call, and from there.
Looking at the Connecticut Ice tournament, seeing how loud that building was, and that was probably the loudest it has been all season. And, it was a big tournament, and Sacred Heart came away as the champions. We are going to have a new ice hockey arena on campus in just a couple of seasons. You're actually going to have a chance to play that. That'll be your senior season. What do you think the building's going to look like? And how loud Webster Bank was with the CT Ice tournament? You could just imagine how loud that place is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes it easier to get to, and I think it'll be, once students start coming, I think they'll realize that it's pretty exciting, pretty fun, and if we can get sort of that atmosphere consistently, then that's going to grow the program. It's going to be a lot of fun to play in front of, and it would just be great.
Take us back to your roots real quick. When was it that you first laced up the skates?
I can't remember exactly. I was probably 3 or 4 at the outdoor rinks.
Wow.
So you've definitely been playing since you could walk, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been playing forever, as long as I can remember.
Was Calgary your team growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I was a Calgary Flames fan. I'm not like a diehard, but that's, I'd say that's my team for sure.
Now, do you have somebody in the past, now that you're playing, Division I ice hockey, that you would say has gotten you to this point? I mean, do you know anybody that has sacrificed a lot for you to come here? Who do you thank the most for the point where you're at now?
Definitely my parents. I mean, I'm an only child, so I was kind of they did everything for me, kind of thing, and sacrificed a lot of their time, money to get me to the rinks, get me equipment, things like that, and I always try to work hard to repay them, and yeah, I can't thank them enough. They've done so much for me.
Parents is definitely always a safe answer for that
Yeah.
one. Back to when you were younger, when you were playing, growing up, was there ever like a significant moment you remember that was maybe even a turning point in your hockey career?
I don't know. Like growing up, I was, kind of just following the normal path. I was never above anybody, kind of thing. So, I guess one moment would be making the decision to go play junior B. I wanted to get out to the BCHL. I thought that would be my best opportunity to get exposure to schools. And I thought my best route to the BCHL would be play junior B in BC and kind of be in the backyards of some of those teams. So I left, instead of playing my last year at midget, we moved and I was able to play there. And I think that was kind of, I had a really good year there, and that kind of, I guess that was a bit of a turning point where I kind of grew from there.
Braeden, this season has been a season like nobody could have expected. What has been the most challenging part for you this season, just as a whole? Whether it's the mental aspect, whether it's the physical aspect.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really pick one. It's definitely tough mentally. Just there's been shutdowns, and our first game kind of kept getting pushed back. You don't really know what next week holds at any point. Really, it's just the unknown's kind of difficult, and physically it's tough too. Just because at one point I was off for a couple weeks, and it's hard to work so hard, and then you kind of limited to what you can do, and you got to try to come back and make the most of it. But like I said earlier, everybody's in the same boat, so everybody's got to kind of find a way to overcome those challenges.
Braeden, I want to take you back recently to just the past 2 games Sacred Heart played when they played Quinnipiac. Obviously, this is a different Sacred Heart team than it was last year and a different Quinnipiac team than it was last year. You guys held with them, the second game. That was one of the best games I've seen you guys play all season and in the past seasons that I've been here. You scored actually the game-tying goal at the end of regulation. How did you guys have such a different mojo from game 1 to game 2 that weekend?
Well, yeah, obviously, game 1 wasn't our best game. I don't think we obviously weren't happy with that. Our coaches talked about last year when we played Penn State. It was kind of a similar situation where first game didn't go great, and second game we kind of played better and kind of had some more pride, and that was kind of the same thing. Second game I think we proved a lot to ourselves, even though we did end up losing that game. We proved that when we play well, we can kind of play with anybody, and I think that's a confidence thing for us moving forward.
Do you think you guys tend to use that to your advantage often when you play a team twice in the same weekend? Like you learn from them the first game, and then the second game you can anticipate better. You know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely make adjustments like that. If something's not working for us, or if they're kind of something that we weren't expecting them to do, we definitely make adjustments. But I think every team's doing that, and teams are making adjustments for us too. So that's kind of just how college hockey is. There's always adjustments on those weekend series like that.
When you're playing a back-to-back, especially against one of the best teams in the country like Quinnipiac, you have to have short memory. Was it easy to forget what happened in game 1 to come out game 2 and be a totally different team?
I mean, yes and no. Like, you don't want to dwell on it, but I mean, you kind of want to remember sort of what happened, right? You can't, you got to have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder type of thing, but you can't dwell on it and kind of get on your heels. But you got to move forward and worry about the shift you're in and all that. But yeah, I would just say yes and no.
Braeden, when you look back on the goal that you scored just last game, you see how excited not only you were, but the rest of the team was. All that hard work you guys did in that entire game paid off in game number 2. Now, you guys have not played in a while, but do you see all that hard work transferring over into the next game you guys play?
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I mean. We kind of don't have a great game. They beat us the first game, and then the second game just to sort of prove to ourselves that when we play well, we can be right there, kind of thing. And I think that's a huge confidence thing moving into the second half.
So taking you back to quarantine real quick, the anticipation, the unknown of what was going to happen, if anything was going to happen, what was going through your mind, and how did you kind of keep yourself calm and sort of tell yourself like if it happens, it happens, or how did you really settle down and try not to dwell on it too much to the point where you just went crazy?
Yeah, well, it's definitely easy to kind of overthink it, and there's so much going on, and you see so much stuff. So I think kind of like what you said, I just try not to dwell on it and just kind of go day by day and control what I can control. Right, I can't control regulations and stuff like that. So just try to be ready and not worry about things that I can't control.
You guys resume action January 2nd and January 3rd. A home and home. The Sacred Heart first home game is Saturday, January 2nd against Army. They play Army at West Point on Sunday. How do you guys stay in shape from not playing live hockey for such a long time?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had that issue sort of from the last game last year, and the big delay until our first game this year, and you just try to do the best you can. We have competitive practices and working in the gym, and that's pretty much all you can do is just do the work and everything you can, be prepared for when the puck drops.
What's the biggest challenge you see from Army? I know you guys haven't seen them in a long time. Actually, right when the season ended, your last 3 games, 2 of them came against Army in February. What can you tell us, and what can you guys expect from them?
Yeah, I mean, they were a good team last year. I'm assuming they're going to be hardworking, systems, but that's every team, right? We can't, we're going to make adjustments to don't worry about them. But, I think a big thing is, sort of worrying about our game. And if we play how we can, then, we should be all right.
Playing without a crowd versus playing with a crowd, how is it for you? Because I remember when the NHL went into a bubble for the playoffs, they interviewed a lot of the players and asked them how it was, and about 50% of them said, "Oh, I tend to tune it out anyway. It's no problem." And the other 50% said, "It's so much harder playing without all that noise." How is it for you personally, though?
Well, I mean, realistically, it's not like it's not the same as the NHL where there's 20,000 fans and stuff like that. So it's not as big of an adjustment for us. But once you get playing, you're not really thinking about that kind of stuff, and you just play.
Well, Braeden, we appreciate you coming on the show. We wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of the season. And one last question for me. How big of an honor was that last year to win Rookie of the Season, getting 26 points in 28 games, almost at that point per game pace that you were on?
Yeah, that was obviously pretty cool. I mean, coming in, kind of didn't really know what to expect, but I mean, that's a like teammates and my coaches I have to thank a lot. I was given an opportunity, and my teammates were great. So I mean, it's just a lot of things kind of came together for me that year, and it worked out.
And a lot of the things for you happened so fast. I'll go back to the Holy Cross opening game on December 4th, where you had that nice cross ice feed to Ryan Steele that ultimately gave, I believe, tied the game for you guys at that point. To see how quick that happened, you found him, just like that.
Yeah, I guess I was just I knew he's back there, just kind of throwing it over there, and hoping he could get a stick on it. But yeah, it worked out.
All right. Well, Jack, if you have any more questions, fire away.
I'm all set, Will.
All right. Well, Braeden, we thank you for coming on the show. Happy New Year, and we'll see you on January 2nd at Webster Bank Arena versus Army.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one.
Well, even just as a sophomore, he's already, you can tell, a true leader on the team. Just the way he carries himself and the way he answers some of those questions. I don't mean to jump the gun, but I could see definitely a possibility of a letter on his jersey in the future.
Yeah, and what stuck out to me the most was I want to go back to the Quinnipiac game that we spoke to him about, and they didn't play their best in game one. The score speaks for itself. But game two, they were a completely different team, different character, different mojo. And he scored the game tying goal that sent the game to overtime. And I asked him to see the joy on his face in the celebration and, how the team reacted and the coaches reacted to that goal. Now, keep in mind, there's no fans there, so you could hear everything that goes on. So you could hear the people from the bench, the coaches, the players. I mean, it was just so good to see all their hard work paid off and to have a complete 180 like they did. That says a lot about this team and where this coaching staff has them going.
Absolutely. And like he was talking about the adjustments they made just over weekend series, the adjustments they're making as the season goes on, they're making some big moves, and they're going to definitely be a threat to some of these other big teams in the future, in the very near future.
Yeah, and last year they were ranked. They were 20th overall. I believe they were ranked just about 3 times, and they took down Quinnipiac in the Connecticut Ice tournament, and they took down Yale too. So 2 high-ranked teams, they ultimately took them down. So big things ahead for Sacred Heart Hockey. On behalf of Jack Oven, Will Pesic, and everybody on the Sacred Heart Hockey coaching staff, players, staff, we hope you guys had a good Christmas. We wish you a happy New Year in the days ahead.
Go Pios, stay safe. We'll see you next week.